Hello everyone, and welcome to another Codex review here on Skaerdcast. This is the review for the complete Blood Angel Codex, a brand new codex that was released by Games Workshop in an exclusive boxed set. And of course, this is going to be an entire review. We're going to go over every detachment, every enhancement, every data sheet, the whole 9 yards. So if you are hanging out and really... thanks a lot for coming to hang out. Let's watch it. Of course, if you watch this later, you'll probably end up seeing the date stamps or the time stamps of all the data sheets. So browse, check it out. It's going to be a long video, and hopefully you learn something. And I learn something too every time I do some of these as well, which is really, really fun. And thanks a lot for all the feedback in terms of making these happen. So I hope that you find them useful. Now, the way this works, of course, we're going to go through each individual thing, and then we're going to basically pause, and I'll go through questions and chats and stuff like that as well. We'll be here for a while. But it is, what, a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday morning in Canada and around the world. Welcome wherever you are. But this is I guess when they release the actual codex, it'll probably have a different cover and stuff like that. But all in all, it's pretty fancy stuff, you know. The lore is cool in there. Everything's all set, and cool pictures and whatnot. As we all love, and painting and things. Of course, you got your combat patrol. Regardless of what you think of the new stuff, the new sculpts and things like that. We all have opinions. Sure, you can love it, you can hate it. If you're a classic Blood Angel lover, you can always, use your classic models, rebase them, whatever. It is what it is. And if you like the new stuff and you're just getting into the hobby, collect whatever the heck you want to collect. Hobby them however you want to hobby them. It doesn't matter. It's just a toy game where we get invested and play with little toy soldiers, which is really, really fun. And we're going to essentially go through all of these. Now, I remember Blood Angels since the start of 3rd edition. I don't know if I have... Oh, yeah, right over here, for example. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So let's take a trip down memory lane before we get started. But bow! Blood Angel. This was the first Blood Angels Codex. Angels of Death. And this was basically Blood Angels mixed with Dark Angels. And to be honest, this is the Codex. This is the 2nd edition Codex. This is a full company, or a full chapter with all the different companies and the breakdowns and stuff. And this is sort of like what got me into loving Blood Angels, Dark Angels, all that good stuff. It was this codex here, which is really, really neat. Just had a whole bunch of stuff in it. And so we've transitioned from this classic, iconography, Death Company, to current Blood Angels. Now, current Blood Angels being, a party in and of themselves. But let's dive in. We're going to go over all the detachments and all that good stuff, etc., etc., etc. Let's start with the Blood Angel army rule. So the army rule is the same as any Adeptus Astartes army, which is Oath of Moment. Now, Oath of Moment being you pick an enemy unit and your entire army gets reroll hits against that enemy unit. So essentially, you can pick one nasty unit to kill, or one unit in the enemy opposing force to kind of get rid of a lot more efficiently. Now, of course, they have a secondary thing called the Sons of Sanguinius. So if an Adeptus Astartes unit has a second faction keyword, that faction keyword is the name of the unit's chapter. So you cannot have more than one chapter units in your army. So you can't have Blood Angel units that have a specific Blood Angel keyword in an army that has a unit with the Ultramarines keyword, etc., etc. So you kind of keep the chapters relatively, separated, is what it comes down to as well. Of course, I am going to be looking at stuff in chat. So if you have any questions, comments, would like me to discuss anything specifically, we can definitely go over that as well. And as we go, we'll kind of break things down, and I'll, mainly so I can see the chat is working, because I had to restart my router because apparently the latency was really bad, and I was like, oh, just gonna restart this whole stream, so that it's not terrible. Okay, let's dive in to the first of the detachments. So the first detachment we're going to look at is the Liberator Assault Group. So this, of course, is just one of the 4 detachments. 1, 2, 3. One of the 3 detachments in the book, right? And its special rule is the Red Thirst. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit is selected to fight, if they made a charge move, they get +1 attack and +2 strength. Essentially, this is the detachment or continuation of the detachment that we found in the Index of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. It's essentially the Index detachment, right? So most codexes have had access to their Index detachment, and it tends to be one of the better detachments. From the codexes, and at least like what we've been seeing, like Awakened Dynasty is still pretty good in Necrons. That's kind of what their Index attachment was. The Genius to the Cult Index detachment is still one of their most versatile detachments, right? So we have 4 basic enhancements: Speed of the Primarch, an Adeptus Astartes model only. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can give the models in their unit fights first. Very powerful enhancement. Fights first is very strong, considering you can give it to any sort of character that can have an enhancement. You can have a big unit of Blade Guard or Sanguinary Guard or like a Death Company. You can have a whole bunch of stuff with fights first, which would be very, very, very powerful, very, very strong. Then we have Rage-Fueled Warrior. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can use it and give the bearer's melee weapon sustained hits 3. So not terrible if you have like a little punchy character, or combo it with something like a captain that gives you extra, like that can once per game get some really cool extra attacks or whatever. Especially against your Oath of Moment target, or if you're, in a unit that gives you rerolls of some sort. The sustained 3 can really add up in that one pivotal combat per game that you really need them to do some damage. The Icon of the Angel. Each time an enemy unit that's not a monster vehicle within engagement range of the bearer's unit selected to fall back, they must take a Desperate Escape test as if they were battle shocked. If they are battle shocked, they must subtract 1 from the Desperate Escape test. So essentially very similar to what Dark Eldar Witches do, and they hold you in combat. They cause Desperate Escape tests, of course, if you're not a monster or vehicle. More situational. Could be handy specifically in like if you have like any special stuff in the meta that you sort of like work with or whatnot as well. I don't know, is anybody in chat? Ah, it is an error on the chat. Hold on 1 second here. Hopefully this, there we go. Well, hello everybody in chat. Sorry, it seemed to have been, I don't know what was going on here. Let me try and make this work real quick. We'll get this party on the road. It was definitely not working. Oh, there we go. Boom. Okay, pardon the little on-the-fly editing and a little bit of a thing right there. But hello, Nurgle, hi, Carl, Foz. Hello, hello. Yes, the chat was not working. Okay, thank you for that. Seems to be working now. Perfect. I got it fixed. Okay. Last but not least, we've got the Gift of Foresight. So, Adeptus Astartes model only. Once per battle round, just after making a hit roll, a wound roll, or saving roll for the bearer, you can treat the result as an unmodified roll of a 6, which can be pretty handy. And the fact that you can roll it and then decide, really good. If you've got devastating wounds, you can use it for a wound roll. If you need to stay alive, you can use it for a save roll. If you need it for a sustained or anything like that, you can use it for a hit roll, right? or if you've got lethal hits or something like that, you can really kind of, you know, make use of it. So it's small but effective, right? And I think that's important. Then we have the 6 different stratagems. Angelic Grace. You can give your unit a Feel No Pain 5+ in any phase when they take mortal wounds. So that's pretty cool. Keeps them alive against mortal wounds. Armor Contempt is your standard Space Marine stratagem. -1 AP in shooting or fighting for an enemy attack, for an enemy phase, basically. That's really, really good. Until the end of the phase, yeah. Then we have Savage Echoes. 1 CP in your opponent's charge phase. 1 Astartes unit from your army that was just charged. You can add +1 to your strength or attacks. Or you can give it the Red Thirst, so you can give it Battle Shocked. And until the end of the turn, you get +1 strength and attacks as well. So it's this is interesting because it's like a defensive stratagem that forces, like, you get charged, and for a CP you can either take strength or attacks, but if you decide to become battle shocked, you can get strength and attacks. And that's something that you'll notice in this Liberator Assault group. They give you a choice. They'll be like, look, you get a cool ability, but if you get you take like battle shock or whatever, you become battle shocked, you'll get both of these abilities. Most of the time here, that wouldn't be necessarily too powerful because it forces you, if it's only if your opponent charges you. But if you have this combined with something that fights first, for example, then that would be very, very strong, right? Because you could definitely use that fights first and then use the stratagem and then punch them before they punch you back, sort of thing, which can be really, really powerful. Yes, and then you could use a chaplain to turn off your battle shock, for example. Then we have the Red Rampage. That's 1 CP in the fight phase. 1 Astartes unit that has not been selected to fight from your army. You can either give them Lance or Lethal, right? And instead you can give them both effects if they're battle shocked, right? So Lance Lethal, it used to be like you got both regardless. Now it's like you can pick one or the other or become battle shocked and do both. However, you can just do both and then at the same time go, you can use that chaplain ability or whatever to like reduce or take away battle shock. So at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of these kinds of units around anyway. It's not always going to be crazy. Is there level 9,000? I don't know. Definitely we'll find out. The 5th one is Aggressive Onslaught in your movement phase, just after a unit from your army has advanced. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot or declare a charge, even though it advanced. You can choose to give into the Red Thirst or take Battle Shocked, and then you can do both. You can both shoot and declare a charge. So for 1 CP, advance and shoot or advance and charge, or 1 CP and then Battle Shock yourself, advance and shoot and advance and charge. So the fact that you just have that in your back pocket and you can do either or is super effective. Like, I love this kind of stratagem. I think it's very strong. And then we have Relentless Assault, which is just after a unit from your army falls back. An Adeptus Astartes unit, of course. Until the end of the turn, your unit can either shoot or declare a charge even though it fell back. So shoot or charge, or if you battle shock yourself, shoot and charge after you fall back. So advance, shoot and charge, fall back, shoot and charge, extra attacks, extra strength, lance, lethal, right? Armor Contempt, and then Feel No Pain against mortal wounds. It's like an all-rounder style thing. Is Gladius still better, though? You can leave a comment down below. Let me know if you feel that Liberator Assault Group is okay. When you charge, you get extra attacks, extra strength, which you can, it's not terrible. But is it sort of like punchy enough, right? That's the key. So let's go into some of these questions here. Nergo Matthew, big love to you. Hams fan says, is this some kind of stream? Yes, I would assume it is. We are streaming. Am I live? I believe I'm live. Yeah, you folks might watch this on the replay, but it is a Tuesday and I'm definitely streaming live. This is a live show. Not a fan of the new detachment name, Lag, but it does seem like the strongest of the 3 in the book. You know, that's the thing. It's like it doesn't necessarily have to be crazy powerful or whatever. However, it can be like versatile for your playstyle, right? If you like having that versatility. The thing about Gladius is you get that sort of like advance and shoot, you get the advance and charge, you get the fall back and shoot, right? Like with your chapter tactics, and it gives you like a lot more versatility. So is like the punching power that you get from a detachment like the assault group worth it, or are you taking it for the enhancements, or are you taking it because you just get to roll lots of dice, like at extra attacks? You know, is it like, yes, Gladius has the reactive move, and like it's, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's not, doesn't like stand out too much, not like super flavorful in that sense, but is it? You know, it's one of those things as well. Moving on to the next detachment. So now we're going to take a look at the Lost Brethren. Of course, we're talking about the Death Company in a lot of ways. That is the Lost Brethren. Their detachment rule is a noble death in combat. So each time a Death Company model from your army makes a melee attack, you can reroll a wound roll of 1. If that model's unit is below starting strength. If that model's unit is below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll instead. If you select this detachment, Death Company Marines with bolt rifles become battle line. So Death Company becomes battle line, which, okay, sure, especially with the Leviathan Tournament Companion or whatnot, you know, you have battle line, get some cool abilities. It also means you can take more units of them, like you can take a max of 6 units instead of 3 units of each, you know, non-battle line unit or battle line unit, etc., etc. As for enhancements, we've got, as always, 4 of them. Sanguinius's Grace, Death Company model only, so like a chaplain, I'm assuming. Once per battle, at the end of the fight phase, if the bearer is within engagement range of 3 or more enemy models, the bearer can fight 1 additional time. Neat. Okay, so get yourself out of combat in a pinch sort of thing. Interesting. The Blood Shard. By the way, if that, like, that would be, like, very situational. I feel like if you charged with a Death Company unit and there was still models left alive in a unit, something is very wrong. The time I can see this happening is you fight with the Death Company unit, you pile in to an additional 3 units or 3 models, right? Because he has to be in engagement range of 3 or more enemy models. So say you just go in and fight, then at least the bearer can fight 1 additional time, you know? So, sure, I guess. Then we have the Blood Shard. Death Company model only. The first time the bearer is destroyed on a 2+, you set them back up with 3 wounds remaining. Cool. Get back from the dead. Always really handy, especially in a game that has, like, you know, it's really good for scoring points. Like just being able to be like, oh, I'm just going to pop him back up or whatever. Very nice. Slay the War Master. Death Company model only. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase. If the bearer's unit is within engagement range of an enemy character unit, you can select one of the character units and roll 6d6 for each 4+. 1 character model in that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's like a targeted grenade in combat. That's actually kind of neat. And it's at the start of the fight phase, it's before anybody fights. You can literally just like toss. That could be very powerful into some matchups. Like imagine if somebody ran into Lilith with this. Like you'd run in, Lilith has fights first, but she only has 4 wounds. You'd be like, and you could be like, okay, I'm gonna roll my 6 4+. Like you have 4 4+, and you can just assassinate Lilith before the fight phase even starts. Like that's wild to me. You know, that's pretty cool. Vengeful Onslaught. Death Company model only. If the bearer is destroyed until the end of your next turn, each time a friendly Death Company model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If the bearer until the end of your next turn. Okay, so suicidal Death Company model makes sense. Makes the rest of your Death Company models +1 to hit. So you could have like a, I don't know, like a Death Company lieutenant or captain or whatever, or chaplain run in, to like a fights first unit, get murdered, trigger that thing so that the rest of your army gets, you know, reroll, add 1 to hit, so they hit on 2s or something. Sure. You're re-rolling hit rolls with all the Death Company normally anyway, so yeah, a little redundant, in my opinion. And of course, you have your 6 awesome stratagems. So, Glorious Sacrifice in any phase. When one Death Company unit was destroyed while within range of an objective marker, you can use a stratagem, and that marker remains under your control. So, that's kind of cool because you know, that's kind of cool because you can like sticky objective markers and stuff like that. Not terrible to have in a pinch, but it is definitely something to keep in mind as well. Okay, so we have Armor of Contempt, which is like your standard Armor of Contempt. Awesome. I do like that. -1 armor piercing value, sure. Then we have Final Retribution. The fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. So an enemy unit selects targets. So one Death Company unit from your army that was selected as one of the targets. And on a 4+, they fight on death, and they get +1 to the roll if the unit is within 12 inches of a friendly chaplain. So fight on death for a CP on a 3+ if there's a chaplain within 12. Nice. That's pretty cool. Furious Onslaught is in the fight phase as well. One Death Company unit from your army just before that unit piles in. Until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes a pile-in move, it can move up to D3 +3 instead of 3 inches, so 4 to 6 inches. If a unit is within 12 of a chaplain, or it is below starting strength, you can move up to 6 inches instead. In either case, you can only do so provided your unit ends that pile-in move in coherency and within engagement range of an enemy unit. So that's pretty cool. I think that is, like, anything that gives you extra movement is very powerful. The fact that it's a pile-in move, it allows you to get more models into combat for fighting, but it also means that you can pile in to tie up multiple units, to get onto objectives, to disrupt and threaten and do things like that. So that is not to be overlooked. It is like probably a side note, and I saw a thing on Reddit being like, why is a 6-inch pile-in important? Extra movement is very important. Being able to maneuver and tie things up and sort of control, right, the battlefield is of great importance as well. The 5th one is Lost to Rage. In the fight phase, one Death Company unit from your army that is below starting strength has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, you can get you improve strength, attacks, and AP of melee weapons by 1, unless your unit is within 12 inches of a chaplain. Okay, and then they become hazardous unless they're within 12 of a chaplain. Okay, that feels like that's very wordy to say. You get +1 attack, strength, and AP for 1 CP. That's not bad. However, they're hazardous unless there's a chaplain within 12. You know, sure. If you're bringing Death Company, you tend to have a bunch of chaplains. So, you know, the bad stuff would rarely happen. And last but not least, for the Lost Brethren, we have Wrathful Rampage. In your movement phase, just after Death Company in your unit advances, until the end of the turn, that unit can declare charge in the turn in which it advanced. If your unit is within 12 of a friendly chaplain or below starting strength, you can shoot and declare a charge in which the turn you advanced. So keep chaplains nearby, advance and charge, advance, shoot and charge, right? So a good version, a good amount of different stratagems. I like the strats in this detachment. I really like the extra damage one. I really like the fight on death on a 3+ with a chaplain nearby. Very, very powerful, especially when you're running like a combat army that has like one phase that they get to interact with the enemy, especially if you don't have a lot of, or if you want to fight against things that have fights first or things like that as well, which can be very, very handy. And of course, Wrathful Rampage, keeping that mobility up as well. But what do you think? Lost Brethren, it's, you know, one of 3 detachments in this book. It's all about the Death Company. Some folks love their Death Company. They did do Death Company dirty. We'll kind of go through that in a little bit. They box-locked all the Death Company, but that is standard. We're seeing that. You know, it is something that was expected. not something unexpected at all. Hams Fan says, is there a way to kill your own guys? The Lost Brethren seems very flavorful. It's cool, but maybe not super strong. I like how flavorful this detachment is. It just happens to be very fun, you know, with lots of different stuff. You can potentially kill a guy with Hazardous on Plasma, but yes, absolutely. I think this attachment could be a bit underrated. I agree. Like, it has a lot of punch, right? It's something to keep in mind. There's still Death Company. And the fact that you could run, like, 6 units of each Death Company means you could do MSU Death Company everywhere, which could be kind of, like, handy, right? Has a bunch of issues, but very strong strats. Yes, the strats, very strong. I agree. Of course, let me know with a comment down below. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you share it with someone. Leave a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. And if you'd like me to do more of these videos, the more traction they get, the better. Like that, I can focus more on doing stuff like this to give comprehensive overviews of every single codex as it comes out. There's a backlog. I can do Tyranids, I can do Space Marines. Just let me know as we go. Okay. Moving on to the third detachment of this codex, we have the Angelic Host. Now, the detachment rule is upon Wings of Fire. At the end of your opponent's turn, you can select a number of jump pack units that are not within engagement range of the enemy, depending on the size of the battle. And once you've made those selections, you can put them in strategic reserves and set them up in the next movement phase using Deep Strike ability. So if you're playing Strike Force, 2 units can go up and down. So you get uppy, downy with your jump pack units. If you're a fan of something like Hypercrypt, if you're a fan of something like Grey Knights, this gives you that very like versatile, jumpy, uppy, downy. You know, MSU jump pack units will tend to be something that you see with the Angelic Host. You know, considering you can have lots of different types of jump pack units, it's kind of cool to see that you can, you know, jump up and down. Now, it is important to note it's jump pack units, so anything that's not a jump pack doesn't get to use it either. With the 4 enhancements, we have the Artisan of War, a jump pack model only, improves the AP of their weapons by 1, and the bearer has a save of a 2+. And that's any weapons they have, so combat and shooting, their AP goes up by 1. Also gives them a 2-up armor, pretty good for like a jump pack. Visage of Death, jump pack model only. In the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, each enemy unit that's not a monster vehicle within engagement range must take a battle shock test. That's kind of cool that it happens in your opponent's turn, because if you're like stuck in combat and they're around in combat, it means like as long as it's not a vehicle or monster, it could force desperate breakout tests. It could cause them to not capture objectives, you know, or stratagems or things to like not work, like orders or things like that from the Astra Militarum. So interesting. I like the timing of the Visage. The fact you have to be in combat, though, you're a Blood Angel, but, you know, how much alive are you going to be if you're stuck in combat towards the end of the game? Archangel's Shard, jump pack model only. Bears melee weapons have Anti-Chaos 5 and Lance. So, of course, you'd probably be looking more for the Lance, but then the Anti-Chaos 5+, really funny, especially if you're punching up into like a Lord of Skulls or a Chaos Knight or something, and all of a sudden you're like, haha! Really cool if you had Anti-Chaos 5 with like devastating wounds or something like that. That would be kind of cool to be like, haha! Dev wounds on 5, sucker. Kind of neat, actually. Gleaming Pinions. Jump back model only, once per turn when an enemy unit ends. A normal, advance, or fullback move within 9 of the bearer. The bearer, it's a bearer. If the bearer's unit is not engaged in range, they can make a normal move up to 6. So a reactive move for a jump pack unit, very powerful. That is a powerful enhancement. You know, anything that gives you extra move and reactive moves specifically can be incredibly, incredibly strong. Then we go to the 6 stratagems. So Unbridled Ardor. So in any phase for 1 CP, 1 Astartes unit from your army that was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, each time a friendly Sanguinary Guard unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, you can reroll the hit and reroll the wound roll. So you get like super Oath of Moment against something that killed anything in your army for 1 CP. Not terrible. Like, if you've played against Tau, like, there's one of the Tau detachments that has a similar stratagem where they're like, oh, you killed one of my units, I get reroll all hit rolls against you, and then they have, like, lethal hits or whatever and in the first couple of turns. And that can be very, very strong. So the fact that you get full reroll hits and wounds is awesome. The fact that it's locked to Sanguinary Guard is a bit of a bummer. He's like, okay, I get it. It's the Angelic host. Sanguinary Guard will punch up if they get like the 1 CP roll hits, reroll wounds. Of course, how many points are you going to be dumping into like Sanguinary Guard? They tend to be relatively expensive. So how many units of Sanguinary Guard are you really going to have on the board, right? So that's something to keep in mind when looking at stratagems like this. It's like very specific to you having Sanguinary Guard in your army. Then we have Armor Contempt. Same thing. The Space Marine stratagem, right? Angels Sacrifice. At the start of any fight phase, 1 jump pack unit from your army. Till the end of the phase, each time an enemy model within engagement range of that unit selects its targets, it must select your unit as the target of all of its attacks. 1 CP to force your opponent to fight the unit that they're engaged with is incredibly strong. Anything that takes away agency from your opponent in this game of Warhammer is very, very powerful. And a good general will use something like this to annoy the absolute crap out of their opponents. So something to keep in mind, stratagems like this, very powerful. Very, very powerful. You could use something like the Sanguinor. You could do something like a Death Company unit, that comes in. You could use something that, just a single character. You'd be like, oh, like it's just like a unit that's going to die anyway because there's 1 or 2 models. Like, it's just so good. And to force your opponent to put as many attacks as they can into that unit for 1 CP, very, very strong. Okay, so we have the Martial Exemplars, which is a 1 CP stratagem, which is in the fight phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes jump pack unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have lethal hits and precision. Cool. Precision is pretty good. You can go in, kill characters, not bad. Really lethal hits is what you're really looking forward for, because if it's any jump pack units, you can use it for Death Company, which have reroll hit rolls. You can use it for anything that you oathed, right? And they go in and you can just get lethal hits, which means any roll of a 6 is just a wound. So that is a very powerful stratagem. It mathematically leads to you just removing enemy models from the battlefield, and it's just very, 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 very good that way. Then we have the 1 CP Descent of Angels. In your movement phase, 1 jump pack unit that is using Deep Strike can come in within 3 inches, but they cannot charge. So 3-inch Deep Strike with the lack of charge. Sadly, giving up charge is just bad for Blood Angels, right? It's just not good. However, in a pinch, if you're doing MSU jump pack units because of the Wings upon Wings of Fire special rule, you're uppy downying with all these jump packs. Being able to bring a jump pack unit in within 3 inches to score a secondary card, right? Get it behind enemy lines, or a sabotage, or a nexus, or whatever it is, and being able to do it even through your opponent's screen, powerful. If your opponent screens their primary score and they don't put stuff on their home objectives or their objectives to score them, and you can drop a unit down within 3 inches and steal objectives away, also very powerful, right? So not necessarily really good for like damage unless you have some way of using something that does a lot of pistols or whatever. It can be pretty handy, right? And then we have Death from the Skies. 1 CP in your charge phase, 1 jump pack unit that advanced or fell back. That unit can shoot and declare a charge in which it advanced or fell back. So this is probably the best of the advance and fall back and shoot and charge, because it does all of it for no downside for 1 CP. Fall back, shoot and charge, advance, shoot and charge for 1 CP. Death from the Skies, very, very good, and there's no like downside to it. all in all, I do like this detachment is my favorite, mainly because I am a huge fan of the technical play. Uppy, downy, little units, scoring tons of points, the ability to control your opponent with stratagems like Angel Sacrifice, or the ability to just have Death from the Skies, advance, shoot and charge, or fullback shoot and charge on a whim, 3-inch deep strike for scoring points, right? As well as something like the lethal hits against tougher targets as well. That alone, for me, is what tips the scale, because I like having versatility when I build lists. But let me know what you think. Which is your favorite detachment of the 3 Blood Angel detachments? And let's start a little discussion. Of course, if you'd like to share the video with anybody, make sure you do. I hope you find you learned some stuff today while watching, and in between each of these things, we will go through and chat with folks. We'll chat with everybody in the chat and stuff like that as we go. You know, we're going to go through all the different data sheets. We're going to go through all the rules. We're going to go through all of that stuff. Decent amount of data sheets, and then of course, you know, the crusade stuff if you are if you enjoy crusading as well. Okay, jumping into the chat. Hello, Enrico. What's going on? Nurgle says, I definitely enjoy Skari coverage. Thanks. Thanks for coming to hang out and watching. I'm glad you enjoy it. The biggest weakness of this detachment would be precision to knock out the chaplains. Yeah, knocking out, like, chaplains and stuff can be very, like, any character, especially if they're a big buffing style character that's designed to, like, try and keep you alive or whatever. Definitely a part of that whole process. Keeping your characters alive is important. You're dependent on a couple of characters without whom your whole army is OC0. Yes, if you're doing a bunch of Death Company, that is very true. Something to keep in mind. You know, maybe one of the reasons you should take some Agents of the Imperium, just to have some extra different stuff in there. And the Dreadnoughts, point withstanding, don't get anything from the detachment rule because they're twin-linked. Yeah, sure, for the rerolls. Makes sense. If Viceroys have sustained hits, Captain gives sustained hits. Being below starting strength on foot, guys give sustained hits. Lots of small stuff that feels like it wasn't thought through. Yeah, they probably thought it was cool to give a bunch of sustained hits. Like, you know, after all, it's probably written by a bunch of fans. You know, they're just like, oh, this would be cool. But then they don't think of the ramifications of all the rules that they've already written, like, intertwined, you know? Especially if you suddenly swoop in with a Sanguinor. Yes, we're talking about Angel Sacrifice there. 100%. Anything that's just like really annoying, just pop in, be like, haha, surprise. Now you have to fight this guy. And everybody's like, oh no, my plan is completely scuffed, right? Yeah. I don't know what's going on since High Call Ray. There have been 2 commercials in the middle of this live. Yeah, there are, while it's live, there isn't like an automatic ads automator on, I believe. I put it to like its lowest setting because I didn't want, I think there's a way to like get rid of it. If like, I think members don't see them or whatever, but should be fine once I put all the like timestamps up and stuff. But thanks for letting me know. Hi, Carl Ray. This is the tactical detachment for sure. Yep, I agree. I shared the video in the BA Commanders Discord. Awesome. Well, welcome to all the BA Commanders Discord watchers. I'm Skari, your friendly neighborhood Archon, and we're talking about Blood Angels. Okay, let's dive into some of these not detachments, these data sheets. We got a couple to cover. Of course, if you have any comments, all that stuff. Now, I did want to give a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom none of this is possible. Thanks to the Patreons, I get to do videos like this. So if you enjoy the content, the best way to support me is on Patreon, and the link is in the description down below. Of course, free ways to support the channel are liking, subscribing, sharing. We recently hit 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, so a huge shout out to all of you who watch and enjoy the videos. I will continue to make these till I'm 70, 80, until I like, you know, dementia takes me. So, you know, I hope that you stick around for the ride and blend that awesome positivity with, you know, intelligent gameplay, which I hope is what you take from this channel. That or my childish charm. Let's dive in. Commander Dante. So Commander Dante is basically the chapter master of the Blood Angels. He's got basic standard Space Marine stats. He does move 12 because he is a jump pack infantry model. He's got toughness 4, 2 up save with a 4 up invul, 6 wounds, leadership 6, and 1 OC. Pretty standard stuff for a Space Marine commander. He does have his Perdition pistol, which is a melted 2 pistol with sustained hits D3 and a range of 6. So the melt only comes in when he's 3 inches away, which is really funny. It's one attack that hits on 2 strength 9 AP 4 D6 damage. Now, if you roll that 6 to hit, though, spicy, right? Then we have the melee weapons. He's got his Axe Mortalis, who has lethal hits, which is awesome, especially if you're hitting something that has an Oath of Moment. You're just re-rolling those hit rolls, right? He is also, it's 8 attacks, but that it hits on 2, strength 8, minus 3, 2 damage. So no sweep. It's like, it just has one profile. We have been seeing a lot of chapter masters or whatever have like a double-handed hit. There's like a strike and then a sweep. He does not have the difference. It's just like one profile. He can be attached to intercessors with jump packs, Sanguinary Guard, or a Vanguard veteran squad. Combination of different things you can join. Cool. He does have the Deep Strike rule, and he's a leader. He does have Oath of Moment, and he has 2 special rules. Warden of the Imperium Nihilus. While this model is leading a unit, you get +1 to advance and charge rolls, and each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you get +1 to hit. So +1 to hit, +1 to advance, +1 to charge, making his unit incredibly fast, more reliable to charge out a Deep Strike, right? And will hit even better. So awesome. That's all around a great buff. Death Mask of Sanguinius. At the start of the fight phase, each enemy unit within 6 must take a Battle Shock test, and it's -1 from that Battle Shock test. That is more powerful than you think. And the fact that you can bring that guy in, you could even Deep Strike him if you're running that detachment within 3 inches, and like in the fight phase just have everybody within 6 take a Battle Shock test, could be incredibly powerful to like deny points or make people fail actions, or do things like that. Inability to use stratagems in combat, and the fact that it's a -1. Cool. Now, is he worth it? You let me know. Leave a comment down below. Is Commander Dante one of the better commanders out there, or is he not as tanky as, say, Helbrecht or Vulcan, or not Gulliman, because that's a Primarch, but the other guy, the other Marinius Calgar. There we go. He's then again, he comes with a bodyguard built in, so I guess he's just tankier in general. Silly Ultramarines, am I right? With that though, that is Commander Dante. Other than that, thanks a lot for hanging out, everybody. Let's move on to the next one. If you have any other questions or anything like that, make sure you post a question in the chat, and we'll get to the questions at the end of each data sheet as we go. The Sanguinor, another basic style Marine stat unit, 12-inch movement, who is a jump pack infantry as well. We've got toughness 4. He's got a 2 up save and a 4 up invul. Pretty standard stuff. He has 7 wounds, so he's tougher than Dante. He has leadership 6 and OC of 1. Neat. Now, he does have the Encarmine Broadsword, which is devastating wounds with 8 attacks, hits on 2, strength 6, minus 3, 2 damage. So a little bit less strong than, say, Dante's Axe, but does have devastating wounds with 2 damage. Not terrible. The fact that it's 2 damage is a bit of a bummer, I think, considering that, there's a lot of stuff that has, -1 damage, and then it's just 1 damage, which makes me sad. What kind of rules does he have? He has Deep Strike. He does have Fights First, and he's a Lone Up. So, a Lone Up by itself, awesome. Fights First, pretty awesome. And then, of course, Deep Strike, because he has Jump Pack, makes sense. He does have the Oath of Moment as a faction rule, and 2 special rules. He has the Aura of Fervor, which is an aura. While a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6, you can reroll Battle Shock and Leadership tests. Okay, keeps your guys around a little bit longer, less likely to Battle Shock. Considering Marines have a leadership 6, very handy Battle Shock reroll mechanic. And last but not least, Miraculous Savior, which is why you're taking him in the first place. Once per battle, at the end of your opponent's charge phase, if this model is still in reserves, you can select one enemy unit that made a charge move, this phase, set up this model on the battlefield within engagement range of that enemy unit. Now, I really like that you can do this at the end of the opponent's charge phase, so you can kind of wait to see where your opponent charges, and then go, okay, out of all the charges your opponent did, where am I going to put this guy? I'm going to put him here. I'm going to put him there. The fact that he then fights first is like having an board-wide heroic intervention, and then you can combine it with something like Selfless Sacrifice or Angelic Sacrifice to force an enemy unit that charged to fight the Sanguinor, right? Which is wild. It's crazy. You can, if somebody overextends a charge and like lines up a charge in like a line, you can, and they're hoping to pile in to get more attacks in, you can kind of miraculously savior him on like the edge of a combat to then force the opponent to pile in two different directions. The fact that he fights first means you could drop him down. If there's a character in that unit you need to kill, you can give him an epic challenge, and then you can go for a character that's giving a unit a buff. You can take the steam out of something like a Gene Stealer unit that charged in, or something that has lots of 2-wound models. The fact that he has 8 attacks on 2s that hits on strength 6 is like, okay, he's not going to do super much damage onto really, really tough targets, but like against elves, against other space marines, like he is very, very dangerous, and one of the better data sheets in this book. Of course, you don't have to use it with any of the detachments here, but you can use it with any of the Space Marine detachments. Let me know what you think of the Sanguinor. I think he's pretty cool. Leave a comment down below of any cool stories that you have using the Sanguinor. I remember I have a cool story of the Sanguinor when I bombed him with a Void Raven bomber and basically did 5 of his 7 wounds with a Void Raven bomb, and proceeded to then kill him with like poison shooting from a Cabalite Warrior squad. And that made my opponent, Francois, very happy. And he doesn't remind me every time he sees me that that is something that happened. But other than that, I'm curious to see or to hear your stories about it as well. Okay, there we have it. Chat is still relatively quiet, which is fine. Hello to all the new folks who've come in to hang out. Thanks for tuning in on a Tuesday morning. I should probably drink some of this water. Of course, after this, I'm going to have to curate this video and make sure that I have all the timestamps up and ready so you guys can watch it effectively and all that good stuff, which would be really nice. And of course, if you have any other comments or questions, just let me know. Moving on to the next datasheet, we have Chief Librarian Mephiston. He's cool. I like his new model. His new model's been around for a while. You know, he's supposed to be one of the most powerful psychers in the galaxy, right? He basically has almost standard beefed up Space Marine stats. So he's movement 7, even though he's on foot, so he moves a little faster than normal infantry. He is toughness 5, so he's as tough as a Terminator, but he's not a Terminator. He does have a 2-up save. He's got a 5-up invulnerable. He has 6 wounds with leadership 6 and OC1, so pretty standard in that regard. Now, he does have a variety of ranged weapons. So he has the Fury of the Ancients, which is a Witchfire, and a focused Witchfire, and then he has a Plasma Pistol. Cool thing about these two is they are both pistols, so he can fire both of them every turn, and he can also fire them while he's in combat. So that is awesome. It's a good synergy there. Now, the Witchfire power is 18-inch range. It's 3 attacks, either focused or not. Hits on 2s, strength 4 or strength 5, AP 1 or AP 2 with D3 damage. If you decide to focus it, it gains sustained hits 3 and hazardous, instead of just sustained hits 1. So not only is it stronger and have better AP, but it like has sustained hits 3, which on a pinch is not terrible. Then we have his Plasma Pistol, which is standard, 12 inches, hits on 2, strength 7 or 8, AP 2, AP 3, 1 or 2 damage, depending on what you want to shoot it, and potentially hazardous as well. Then in close combat, he has Vitaris, which is a lethal hits psychic close combat weapon with 6 attacks that hits on 2s, strength 9, AP 3, D3 damage, which is actually stronger than the Dante's weapon. So it's an extra strength. And of course, depending on what detachment you put him in, could be up to strength, what, 11? If you put him in the other detachment. Imagine punching a bunch of vehicles with this guy, just being like, punch. Then it is lethal, so how effective is the strength? I don't know, especially if you got that oath target. But it's cool. I like him. Then we have a Feel No Pain 4+, so those 6 wounds should be going a long way. He does have Fights First, which is also really cool, and he is a lone op. So a lone op for him, really, really neat, and Fights First. So likes punching things, has that Quicksilver fighter stuff as well. He is Oath of Moment. He does have the Quickening as a psychic attack. This model can declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. Of course, he cannot lead any units, which makes me very, very sad as well. He does have a Transfixing Gaze, which is an aura. While an enemy unit is within 6, each time that unit is selected to fall back, it must take a leadership test, and if it's failed, they must remain stationary instead. So you can tie stuff up in combat, force leadership tests within 6 if they're trying to fall back, and if not, they cannot move. Can be clutch. If there's other ways to reduce leadership, that would be kind of handy. If not, it's like a Hail Mary shot in like a pinch situation sort of thing. So is he worth it? He's another lone op. You know, is it worth the points? You know, you let me know. He does have some decent shooting and fighting, but he's like not necessarily incredibly good at one thing or another. So I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you think of Chief Librarian Mephiston. Like, I remember the days when he could just wipe out entire units by himself. You know, it doesn't seem like he can do that, but he is pretty tanky. 4-up Feel No Pain is not terrible. Lone Up is not bad. Fights First is not bad. His stats are not bad. I don't know. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think down below. Foz says, Mephiston is a beast now. Yeah, Mephiston's pretty good. Like, I think, you know, I've only fought against him, right? I haven't fought with him. So my range of motion's a little different. I don't know. I feel like Space Marine armies right now are a little lacking creativity. Like, everybody's sort of like, oh, let's take 15 Death Company Knights or Deathwing Knights and Repulsor and the Eradicators. Oh, really original Space Marine army. Ooh. I don't know. I feel like the reason I got good playing Black Templars back in the day is because I had limited unit options because I couldn't afford different models. So I had the things that I owned, and that's the only thing I could use. And so I got used to using those things, and I got used to using subpar units and testing different things and trying stuff out. Instead of and that was like, I don't know, I feel like that's a thing of the olden days. You know, us oldies created a list and we'd go, ooh, I like this and I like this and I like this, and we put it in a list and then we'd find out how to make it work instead of like taking someone else's idea and going, oh, I'm just going to use this because it works, right? Like, there was a sense of pride of making something work for yourself. And I feel like Mephiston would be kind of one of those units. I feel Sanguinor is definitely something you'll see most often because he's powerful and that mechanic is strong. But like, Mephiston could be really cool depending on what detachment you put him in and like how you use him on the battlefield. Like, it would be kind of neat to see an army sort of like around that point as well. Okay, moving on. The next detachment we're going to look at is Astorath the Grim. They did take his moniker thing off there as well. But Astorath himself is a Space Marine. He's got 12-inch move because he is a jump pack hero. He's got toughness 4, 2-up save with a 4-up invul. He's only 5 wounds, so he's a little less tough, but he's about the same as like a captain, right? He's got leadership 5, so he's one of the best leaderships we've seen so far, and OC 1. He has no shooting weapons and only a close combat weapon. He has the Executioner's Axe that has devastating wounds, but is also precision, so you can take out enemy characters. He has 6 attacks that hit on 2s with a strength 7, AP 3, 2 damage. So, you know, okay strength, decent amount of attacks that hit okay. Devastating wounds with precision means that you roll some 6s to wound. That can do a lot of damage as well. He can be attached to Death Company Marines with jump packs. Even though him himself is not a Death Company unit, he is a chaplain. So any of those cool bonuses that you get for having chaplains around, he gets that too, especially for Death Company. So keep that in mind. Then we have Deep Strike. He is a leader, and he has Oath of Moment as a rule. He has 2 special rules as well. One is called Redeemer of the Lost. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit is destroyed by a melee attack, on a 4+, they fight on death. Nice. So he gives his unit fight on death standard, so you don't have to use a stratagem for that. And then he has the Mass of Doom. Each time this model's unit makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons have devastating wounds. Okay, pretty handy, devastating wounds, especially if you have like a ton of attacks and you're hitting pretty good. That could add up pretty quickly. Makes his unit very killy. Is he as effective as a normal chaplain? I don't know. Probably not. The fact that he just gives his unit fight on death is like, okay, like, are you just hoping to get charged to die? A lot of the time somebody's going to shoot Death Company, right? So you're not going to really get to use that rule or that ability. But in some matchups, that could be really handy, like against World Eaters or other Blood Angels or things that want to fight you as well. So, Astorath, the Grim. A captain with some perks. You can join Death Company guys with jump packs. It's kind of like the synopsis. But the model looks really cool, and those big wings look pretty badass as well. Okay, but let me know what you think with a comment down below. Of course, don't forget to like this video if you haven't already. And a huge shout out to all of you watching. Thanks for hanging out and watching these cool chapter codex reviews. I hope you enjoy them. Going back to the chat, Meph is good if you have a spare seat in the transport and he can just run around being annoying. Yeah, I feel like you'd be very good, like Mephiston would be very good at going around murdering, like, he'd go around murdering, like, little units. You know, kind of like Ivrain, when I run Ivrain by herself. She just, like, snipe little character units or little units and just go kill them and get rid of all, like, the support elements of an enemy army. You know, I feel like that's what I would use Mephiston for. Or like a countercharge unit to like jump in and kind of like, you know, just kind of clear up the remnants of something and then be annoying with the shooting and and then loan up, forces your opponent to get a little closer, and then you can countercharge with some Death Company or Sanguinary Guard or whatever. I feel like he's definitely more of a toolkit. But then again, could you do the same with like an Eversur Assassin, right? Like an Eversur Assassin as an ally, is it worth the point difference? You know, like, do you get more out of the Assassin? You know, that's the kind of thing that, you know, that you'd have to sort of weigh against each other, right? We're so good. Welcome in, team. What's going on, Nurgle Matthew, as always? Nice to see you, man. Okay. On to the next datasheet. This is a very popular datasheet. So let's talk a little bit about Lemartes, who's probably the most popular chaplain in all of the land when you're playing Blood Angels. He is absolutely everywhere, and it doesn't seem like there isn't a there isn't a battle zone that he does not happen to be in if there's Blood Angels, at least currently, as well. So he's a basic Space Marine chaplain. Moves 12 because he has a jump pack. He has toughness 4. He is a 3-up save with a 4-up invul, 4 wounds. He's leadership 5 with a 1 objective control. He has an Absolver bolt pistol, which is your standard Absolver bolt pistol. 1 attack that hits on 2, strength 5 -1, 2 damage at 18 inches. Cool. And in melee, he has the Blood Crozius. It's a Crozius Arcanum, which has lethal hits. 5 attacks that hits on 2, strength 6 -2, 2 damage. Pretty standard Crozius, except with lethal. Neat. He can be attached to a single unit, and that's Death Company with jump packs, and that is it. That's all he can be attached with, and he is a chaplain. He is also a character. He has grenades, all that good stuff. He has a couple of special rules. 1, he has Deep Strike. 2, he has a Feel No Pain of a 6+. Neat, and he can lead. He does have Oath of Moment as well. Now, you take him because of the 2 special rules he has. Guardian of the Lost. So while this model is leading a unit, each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, you subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. -1 damage for your whole unit of Death Company with jump packs. Very good. Considering all Death Company gem packs or Death Company have a Feel No Pain already and they're 2 wounds each, it really increases the survivability of the Lemartes unit. It's just, they are a tough unit to dislodge, right? Lemartes Death Company is a force to be reckoned with because not only do they punch hard, they're the most survivable of the Death Companies, which makes them very good at sticking around for an entire game, which is why you take Lemartes. And then the next thing is, while this model is an E unit, melee weapons have lethal hits, which then stacks really well with the fact that a lot of these attachments have like a lethal hit stratagem when you're playing Space Marines. So then you can have his unit have lethal hits, and then another unit get lethal hits somewhere else. So you can really hammer home the fact that this unit can do an incredible amount of damage to something, no matter how tough that unit is. Especially when you bring in rerolls and, you know, all that stuff, right? And extra attacks and like whatever it is you're going to do with that. Lemartes is a solid competitive choice because of math, right? He just helps you be better with the unit that you need to just kill stuff with and stick around and be annoying and things like that as well. And that's it. He does not do more than what it says on the tin, but he does it very well. A key stratagem with Lemartes is putting him in a big unit of Death Company with jetpacks. You keep him in Deep Strike or Strategic Reserve, and you rapid ingress the unit in your opponent's movement phase, so then you can move and charge, and if you have access to an advanced and charge strat, you can put them almost very far back and then yeet them forward into the enemy lines. And they hit really hard, they survive a hit back usually a lot of the times, and can really turn the tide of a match in your favor. Lemartes is a boss. And he's a chaplain to boot for all the bonuses that chaplains give in a lot of these detachments and stratagems and all that stuff. But let me know what you think. If you're a Blood Angel player, you probably use Lemartes, but is he overrated, right? Like, can you make a Blood Angel list work without Lemartes, right? Is he worth the associated cost? Let me know. I'm curious to know your thoughts as the Blood Angel community, right? You know, do you agree? Do you disagree? You know, that's let's let me know. Leave a comment in the description below or in the chat as we move on as well. And hello to Jay Jericho. It says, hey, cool, catched a Skaredcast live. I do them every once in a while. Sadly, my battle report for this week was scuffed, or for last week. Scuffed. I'm so upset. It looked really cool with my brand new terrain set from Weyland-Yutani, WTC. They branded a whole terrain set with my Skaredcast brand and everything. It looked so awesome. Battle report got scuffed. I've been trying to find an opponent for another battle report. Hasn't happened. So I was like, how can I give you folks something to watch? I was like, let's do another codex review because there's tons of codexes I haven't done. Each of these reviews takes a good, you know, couple of hours. So it's a good opportunity to put some more content out there. And I'm glad you got to catch it live. And of course, a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom none of this is possible. Literally, the Patreon community is what keeps me going, keeps me alive, pays my bills so I can do content like this for all of you, and hopefully you learn stuff. You can support by liking, sharing the video, commenting, being part of the community on the Discord, which is open to everybody now. You can find a link to the Patreon down below. We've got bonus content. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. We got a TTS league. We have a Crusade league. We have weekly computer game nights that we do on Thursdays. Awesome. And the Denizen community is just fantastic. Okay. Also, we just recently hit 30,000 subscribers, which, by the way, I'm going to do something for 30,000 subscribers. I'm probably going to do a showcase of my whole army. I'm probably going to do, I don't know, a big game, like an Apocalypse style game. I don't know. I've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up, and I'm like, I don't want to burn myself out, but I'm doing something for all of you because you've been hanging out with me for over 10 years. So thank you very much to the community. Okay. Moving on. Moving on to the next datasheet, we have the Blood Angels Captain. Just a standard, run-of-the-mill Space Marine Captain that happens to have the Blood Angel faction keyword. So you could potentially, I guess, take 3 regular captains, 3 Blood Angel captains. Like, how many characters could you fit into a list if you're Space Marines? Just all heroes. Just every hero you could. Like, how many could you fit in? He has 6-inch move, toughness 7, 3-up save with a 4-up invul, 5 wounds, leadership 6 and 1 OC. Pretty standard stuff. He's equipped with a heavy bolt pistol and a mastercrafted chainsword, but you can change his heavy bolt pistol for an inferno pistol, and you can change his chainsword with either a power fist or a relic weapon. So you can pick and choose your weapon options depending on how cool he looks, what you need in your list, etc. The heavy bolt pistol is standard, hits on 2, strength 4 -1, 1 damage, 18-inch range. Standard heavy bolt pistol. The Inferno pistol is melta 2 pistol, 6-inch range, so melta at 3 inches. One shot that hits on 2, strength 8 -4, D3 damage. Now remember, we did do a little thing where you could go like, oh, well, I could, there's a couple of enhancements in there that give you some cool abilities depending on detachments. Kind of cool if you have an Inferno pistol, be like, I'm going to just switch this wound roll to a 6 and force you to take a save at -4, and I just happen to be in melta range, so it's D3 + 2, minimum 3 damage up to 5 damage. Yeah, sure. Then we have either Mastercraft's Chainsword, which is 7 attacks that hits on 2s, strength 4 -1, 2 damage. Okay. A Power Fist, which is 5 attacks that hits on 2s, strength 8 -2, 2 damage. Okay. Or a Relic Weapon, which is 6 attacks that hits on 2s, strength 5 -2, 2 damage. Now, because of how many rules you get in Space Marines that give you the ability to do like lethal hits and a whole bunch of stuff and rerolls and whatever, I would probably go for the Relic Weapon personally. However, if you're really wanting the extra strength, the extra strength 68, which would be really good against tougher targets, for 1 less attack, that's not a bad choice either. You do have a leader, and he can lead Assault Intercessors, a Company Heroes unit, an Inferno squad, an Intercessor squad, Stern Guard, or Tactical squads, sure. And he has Rites of Battle. Once a battle round, you can target them with a stratagem for 0 CP, even though somebody else has been used. This, of course, Rites of Battle, has changed from iteration to iteration. As it stands of filming, this whole Rites of Battle has changed to this unit can be targeted for stratagem at -1 CP. That's it. It doesn't, like everything else is irrelevant. It's just you can use a strat on this unit for -1 CP. It doesn't give you access to an additional strat of the same name. Nothing. It's just -1 CP to a strat used on the unit. Cool. Once per battle round. Then we have Finest Hour. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, you can give this unit, this model, 3 extra attacks and devastating wounds. So +3 attacks means with a relic weapon, you get +6 attacks. Plus in a couple of stratagems or whatever, you could give him a whole bunch of extra things. Neat. Once per game could be punchier. Other than that, you put him in a unit to get access to cheaper stratagems. That's kind of what a captain is for, right? A little lackluster in terms of abilities, but he's like a utilitarian unit. That's the whole point of a captain, is he does some stuff and isn't like a master of anything. He's just like a jack of all trades. But let me know what you think. Like, do you use captains in your Space Marine armies? You know, is this something like that you kind of build into your strategy now that it's just a stratagem for cheaper? Personally, I don't really use captains. I use lieutenants a lot more because I find they add a lot more to my Space Marine armies. When I'm playing my Black Templars, that lethal hits is very useful, and then being able to fall back and charge or whatever, especially when I'm playing something like my Black Templars, that I really enjoy having access to those really cool abilities, right? Just something to keep in mind as well. But leave a comment. Let me know what you think down below. Foz, this guy should have been a note for the Inferno pistol, not a new datasheet. I agree. Like this, the only reason this is a datasheet is because they added a little Inferno pistol, which is like a Blood Angel option, right? It's basically a Space Marine commander that can take a Inferno pistol, which is a Blood Angel sort of like specific sort of pistol. Kind of like the Hand Flamers are very Black Templar-y, right? The little Hand Flamers, very Black Templar. The Inferno pistol, very Blood Angel, right? And I don't think it warranted a whole new datasheet. Like, honestly, the amount of datasheets in Space Marines is mind-boggling, and most of them are redundant crap that you don't need. You can disagree with me, but you do not need the amount of paper they're wasting for all of these datasheets that could literally just be a single datasheet with option A, B, C, or D, right? Like, it's like it literally in like wargear options, it'd be like this captain could be a Blood Angel captain. by having a Inferno pistol. This captain could be a Black Templar captain by giving him a Flamer pistol. This, or a Salamander captain, or whatever, Anyway. Afternoon, Haji Bob. What's going on? How you doing? Thanks a lot for coming to hang out on a Tuesday here on the Skaerdcast video live streams. Hell yes, that's how we rock and roll around here. With that though, let's move on to the next datasheet, the Death Company Captain. Now this is kind of cool. Death Company Captain, right? Captain that is in the Death Company. He does have the Death Company keyword, and cool thing is actually OC1, unless it says he's OC0 unless there's a chaplain nearby, which it is. So why make him OC1? That's really funny. He can also have a heavy bolt pistol and Inferno pistol. Sure. Either or, right? And he can either have a chainsword, power fist, or relic weapon. Basically the same exact options that we just went over with the regular captain. The only thing that changes are the abilities. So, and who he can join. So, he can join Death Company Marines and Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. So just regular Death Company. And he has a Feel No Pain 6 up, right? So a little bit tougher. He does have move 6, he's T4, 3 up armor, 4 up invul, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership, and 1 OC, technically. Sure. And then he has 3 rules. Forlorn Hope. While this model is leading a unit, that unit starts embarked in a transport. You give scouts, so scout 6 up to models in that unit plus a transport. Kind of handy. It's any transport, not just a dedicated transport. So you can get really aggressive with something neat, Land Raider maybe. That'd be kind of cool. Land Raider with the with Scout 6, Land Raider Redeemer, get up on the board. Black Rage. Each time a model makes an attack, you can reroll hit rolls. While this model's unit is not within 12 of a friendly chaplain, it cannot be selected fullback, and its OC is 0. So make sure there's chaplains nearby if you're running Death Company. And the Death Visions of Sanguinius. If this model is destroyed by a melee attack, you can roll a d6, adding 2 to the result if the attacking unit has the enemy Warlord. On a 2 to 3, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 5 to 6, they suffer 3. On a 6+, they suffer d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So it's like lashing out on death against the enemy that does some mortal wounds. That is actually kind of cool. Now, if you're going to take the Death Company Captain, I think you're taking him for the scout move. The Death Visions of Sanguinius is kind of neat. In a pinch, do some extra damage right at the end, like when he dies. That's kind of cool. But I think the scout move is like why I would take this guy. Just being able to scout up with like a transport of some sort to get really aggressive with the enemy, which is why I would even look at the Death Company Captain. Is it worthwhile to kind of take that? I don't know. Maybe. He can only join Death Company Marines or Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. So is it worthwhile in those units? I don't know. Let me know with a comment down below. But it is kind of cool that we're seeing sort of like that sort of unit as well. The Death Company style characters. Can be a little bit more flavorful. And it seems like when it comes to Blood Angels, they're really leveraging or leaning into this whole Death Company stuff, right? Which is like the Blood Angel thing. But I do like that they're adding a little bit of character to these sort of codexes. You can agree or disagree. That's completely fine. Of course, if you're tuning in, thanks for coming to hang out. If you've been watching, thanks for watching. I've been doing this full codex review. We're going through every single data sheet, enhancement, all that stuff. There will be timestamps where you can bounce back and forth if there are specific units that you are curious about or want to hear me talk about or go through or give you my thoughts. I do play Space Marines. For anybody who doesn't know, I have a Black Templar army. They were my original army. So even though I'm a Dark Eldar player, or known as a Dark Eldar player, I love playing Space Marines. Space Marines are really fun. They're my original love, and I know how to recite my vows, okay? I get on my knees, sign of the Aquila on my chest, and I say, uphold the honor of the Emperor vow, or accept any challenge no matter the odds vow, and look my opponent dead in the eye and make them very uncomfortable. It's very fun, actually. Okay, so moving on to the next datasheet. Death Company Captain with a jump pack is the next data sheet we're going to go through. Of course, like captains with jump packs, except killier and more Death Company. Awesome, right? So, he is a jump pack unit, which works really well with the jumpy up and down. He is a leader, has 6 Ephemeral Pain and Deep Strike, and can join Death Company Marines with jump packs. So, one unit they can join, very specific to that unit. The moves 12, toughness 4, 3 up save with a 4 up invul, 5 wounds with a leadership of 6, and 1 objective control. Now, he has a heavy bolt pistol and a chain sword, but he can be equipped with either plasma pistol or a hand flamer instead, and instead of a chain sword can have either a power fist or a relic weapon. So you can, of course, make that choice when you build the model, or if you have a choice of which one is better based on the unit that he's with, etc., etc. So then we have, of course, the Hand Flamer is a 12-inch D6 hits, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage that ignores cover. It is a torrent and a pistol. Heavy Ball Pistol, standard 18-inch, hits on 2, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. And of course, the Plasma Pistol, either standard or overcharged, 12 inches, 1 shot, hits on 2s, strength 7 or 8, AP 2 or 3, 1 or 2 damage, depending on what you want, and if you want to take a hazardous roll if it's supercharged. As for melee weapons, the Chainsword is 7 attacks, hits on 2, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. The Power Fist, which is 5 attacks, 2s, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. Or the Relic Weapon, which is 6 attacks at 2s, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. I personally prefer the Relic Weapon, but a lot of folks do enjoy the Power Fist because of the extra strength. The AP of both of those is about the same, and the damage is the same. But the extra attack, I find, comes in handy a lot of the times, especially when you have things like lethal hits, access with stratagems and abilities and things like that as well. The rules that the Death Company Captain have in jump packs are, while this model is a linear unit, melee weapons have the sustained hits 1 ability. Very handy with Death Company because they tend to have rerolls or an oath target or whatever it is. Awesome, sustained 1, lots of damage can be done. The Black Rage, if they can reroll hit rolls, right, in melee. And if they're not within 12 inches of Chaplain, they cannot fall back, and their OC is 0. So make sure there are Chaplains nearby if you're running Death Company. Keep your Chaplains alive. They don't have to be visible. They just have to be within 12. They can hear them through the Vox, right? That's the whole point. And last but not least, Death Visions of Sanguinius, which is the exact same as the regular Death Company Captain on foot. When the model dies, you roll a d6, adding 2 to the roll if the enemy unit contained the Warlord. On a 2 to 3, they take d3 mortals. On a 4 to 5, the enemy takes 3 mortals. On a 6+, the enemy takes d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. It's like a final hurrah as your model dies. Don't underestimate rules like this, because this affects vehicles, monsters, units. Like, it's not terrible. Other than that, the reason you take a jump pack Death Company Captain is because he goes with jump pack Marines and because he gives them sustained hits, whereas the one on foot gives the unit and their transport a scout. Oh no, sorry. My apologies. Let me take that back. Quickly take that back. Unless they're embarked in a transport, they get a 6-inch scout move. So please disregard anything that I said about being in a transport when that's a scout move. Okay? This is me making a on-the-fly change because I reread the rule. Gives them scout move if they're not in a transport. Okay. Hooray! We fixed it. Okay, so not cool in a transport. On foot. Is he worth it now? I doubt it. I doubt he's worth it. Yeah, Scout 6, sure. You know what? I can do that with just my Crusader squads. Who needs a fancy captain for that? Okay. Nurgle Matthew found me talking about vows very fun. Yes, Black Templars. When I play my Black Templars, I get really into the lore. Like, my Black Templars are like, every brother has to have like a name, and I'm like really into like the whole Knights Templar and the devoutness of the Holy Emperor and like just everything. I really get into playing my Black Templars, and I really enjoy playing them because of that. Sort of like, it's like my original love is just like zealous, religious zealot, Templar brethren with like their squires running into combat, with chaplains nearby yelling at them. Land Raider Crusaders are spitting out bolter fire, assault cannons, Terminators with giant shields and hammers. Oh man, such a fun time. I love my Black Templars. Okay, but this is a Blood Angel live stream. Yeah, we shouldn't get distracted with the most awesome chapter of all, which is the Black Templars. Okay. Moving on to the next datasheet, the Sanguinary Priest. Of course, now with less jump packs. The Sanguinary Priest is essentially your apothecary, right? He has 6-inch move, toughness 7 with a 3-up save, no invul, 4 wounds with a leadership 6 and 1 OC. He has a single absolver bolt pistol as a ranged weapon, 18 inches, 1 shot, hits on 3, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. He is a leader, and he can join Assault Intercessor squads, Desolation squads, Devastator squads, Hellblaster squads, Inferno squads, Intercessor squads, Tactical squads, Stern Guard, Veteran squads, and you can attach him to a unit even if a Chapter Master, Captain, or Lieutenant is already attached to that unit. So he's a very versatile character that can be attached to a lot of different units. Now, he does have an Astartes Chainsword in combat. That's 5 attacks, hits on 3s, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. So pretty standard kit. So where does he come into play are his abilities. He is a leader, he does have Oath of Moment, and he has 2 special rules. Sanguinary Priest, while he's leading a unit, models in that unit have a Feel No Pain 5+. So Feel No Pain 5+ for a whole unit, very, very handy. I really like the Sanguinary Priest in an Assault Intercessor squad. 5 of Feel No Pain in that unit makes them last a heck of a lot longer. You can jump him out of a Land Raider, you can put him in a Repulsor. He just makes them durable and tanky, and then of course they punch things because they're Assault Intercessors. While this model is leading a unit, you improve the AP of their melee weapons by 1. So now all of a sudden, all your Astartes Chainswords are AP 2, your Power Fists are AP 3, and you can combo that with some of the stratagems that you have access to, which means you can get through tough armor quite effectively, at least forcing invulnerable saves on things. Like going into a bunch of Custodes, right? And having all your Chainswords be AP 2, all of a sudden they just take their invul saves, right? Going into big monsters or things that have a 2-up save, having an extra AP really means that like more of that damage is going to go through, making a Sanguinary Priest a very powerful choice when trying to buff a unit and make it more powerful as well. But let me know what you think. He did lose a lot of his versatility, right? Falls, for example, here says we want him to lead Blade Guard or Company Heroes. That would be kind of cool. Being able to lead Blade Guard would be really awesome, right? Where you could like run in and he gives them extra AP and a 5-up Feel No Pain, so you could be behind your shields and kind of get that bonus as well. Sometimes Games Workshop has shown that they will change the leading capacity of a character, right? Like they did that with the Drukhari Archon, allowing them to attach to Incubi. They did that with the Tyranid Neurotyrant, allowing them to join Zoanthropes. So over time, that's the kind of thing. If we feel or, folks feel that that's something that could happen, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that that could indeed be something that gets put forward. However, for now, they are a unit that increases the attack, the damage output of a unit and increases their survivability. Very useful in a Space Marine army for a reasonable cost, and of course as a character can also take enhancements and things like that. So always a good thing to keep in mind when building your list. But let me know what you think. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure you pop that little like on the video and leave a comment as to why you like the Blood Angels and why they are not the best chapter in all of the land and why Black Templars are the best. Other than that, I'm just trolling people now, eh? Let's move on to the next unit. The next unit we're going to take a look at is the Sanguinary Guard. Now, this is definitely a controversial unit. Some people love Sanguinary Guard. Some people don't like Sanguinary Guard. I have found over my years, they're a very polarizing unit. Yeah, very polarizing. You either love them or you hate them. You have basic Space Marine stats, so they have a 12-inch move because they have jump packs, toughness 4, 2-up save with a 4 invul, 3 wounds, so they actually are like Terminators now with 3 wounds, nice. They have a 6-up, leadership, and OC 1. Now they are either equipped with a so they are equipped with Angelus bolt guns and an Encarmine blade. So the Angelus bolt gun is a pistol, 12 inches, 2 shots, hits on 3, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. So it's like a short range bolter. Pistol, sure. One model can have an Inferno pistol. Only a single model can have an Inferno pistol. It's not even 1 per 3? No way. Only one model can have an Inferno pistol. Whether you take 3 or 6, well, that's BS. So it's melted to, of course, pistol, 6 inches, 1 shot, hits on 3, strength 8, -4, 3 damage. Sure. And one model can have 1 Sanguinary banner, which is a war gear ability that gives +1 OC to the unit, so it makes them OC 2. Okay, fancy. And all models in the unit can each have their blade replaced with a spear. So the blade is 4 attacks, hits on 3, strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage. The spear is lance, 3 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. So you lose an AP, you lose an attack, you get lance. I don't think that's worth it because there are so many other ways to get lance in your army. You have stratagems, you have stratagems, you have stratagems. Like, there's just so many other ways to get lance. Why would you lose an AP and an attack to gain lance? Right? We can just spend a CP to get it and get more attacks to boot, right? And a better AP. I feel the blades are better. The fact that it's only 1 Inferno pistol, no matter how many you have in the unit, I feel is a miss, but I could be wrong. Now, the unit is 3 to 6 strong, sure, and they do have a couple of special rules. They deep strike, they have Oath the Moment, and then Angelic Visage. Each time a melee attack attacks this unit, it's -1 to hit, so you don't have to have a character in there. It's just they're -1 to hit in melee. That's pretty good for survivability. And the Heirs of Ascalon, while a character is leading this unit, each time a melee attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So -1 to hit in combat all the time. If they have a character, -1 to wound, which is actually, like, adds up over the course of the game. Okay, you know. Are they worth the cost? Maybe. They do punch decently hard. They have 2 attacks each. You know, they're a little bit more survivable. They're like little attack Terminator units. The fact that it's 3 to 6 is very interesting. Because it'd be nice if they could have a big chunky unit, but it seems like they want them to be in that sort of like Inceptor range, right? Which is like the 3 to 6 Inceptors that drop down with their plasma pistols and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like they're an elite unit. Are they worth it? I think they might be too expensive for what they get or what they give. However, they are really iconic. They, I don't care what people say about the smooth Marines. I like the look of the new Marine stuff, except for specific things. I do not like the look of the new Kotias model. That was terrible. I don't know. The old one is just so much more characterful. But I can see why with the way that plastics work and stuff, maybe they need to do stuff like this. How do you paint them though? What do you convert them? Maybe you convert them with little nipples if you want. Totally up to you. And other than that, I would take them with blades personally because I like extra attacks and extra AP. I think rolling more dice in a game of dice tends to be a better choice. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment. What do you think about Sanguinary Guard now? Are they worth the cost? Will they make the cut in your list? Or are you just going to take more other things, right? Remember, everyone, don't feed the trolls. I know, they live under the bridge, and they are terrible. Terrible people. Oh, you said don't feed the trolls. I'm sorry. Foz, sad too because the spears look cool. The spears do look cool, right? It is what it is. But there's just so many ways to give them lance. It is kind of redundant. You know what I mean? Maybe devastating wounds, and then I'd be like, oh, you know what? I could go for devastating wounds. They stab you in the little eyeball. They're like, devastating wound. Oh, no. That might be really, really good. Okay. Moving on to the next data sheet here. Let's take a look at the first of the Death Company units. The Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. Essentially, Intercessor Marines that have Death Company anger, right? So it's kind of like what we're looking at. So at its core, they're basically a Marine. 6 move, toughness 4 with a 3-up save, 2 wounds with a 6-up leadership, and 1 OC. They do have a 6-up feel no pain, which makes them a little tougher than your average Space Marine. And they have a couple of different options. They come in a unit of 5 to 10, and every model has a bolt pistol, bolt rifle, and a close combat weapon, right? If a chaplain has the leader ability, they can be attached. If they can be attached to an intercessor squad, they can be attached to this unit instead. So you can put chaplains in the unit of Death Company, because that's what they go with. Cool. You have a couple of different options. One model's bolt rifle can have a chainsword, hand flamer, inferno pistol, plasma pistol. So one model, no matter how many in the unit, one of them. For every 5 models in the unit, one bolt rifle can be replaced with an eviscerator. So you can have 2 in 10 with eviscerators. That I like. For every 5 models, one bolt rifle can have a grenade launcher. So you can have 2 grenade launchers. That's standard for intercessors. One model's close combat weapon can be a power fist, a power weapon, a thunderhammer, or a chainsword. So you could have a chainsword and then 2 eviscerators, 2 grenade launchers, and like a power fist or a thunderhammer, right? So there's options in there. However, they are limited in their options. But they do have bolters, which is kind of cool. So they want to shoot stuff dead. Now, of course, an Astartes grenade launcher is like an additional weapon that you have with the bolt rifle. It's a 24-inch range, either frag or crack. You get D3 blast or 1 shot, hits on 3s, strength 4 or 9, AP 0 or -1, damage 1 or D3 damage. So, standard stuff there. You have bolt pistols, which are 12-inch range, 1 shot, hits on 3, strength 4, AP 0 -1 damage, sorry. A bolt rifle, which is both assault and heavy, so you can advance and shoot it, always. You can also stay still and get better at shooting it. 24 inches, 2 shots, hits on 3s, strength 4 -1, 1 damage. Pretty standard stuff. A hand flamer is just your 12-inch D6 strength 3 hits at AP 0. You've got an inferno pistol, which you can have one model, even in 10 with an inferno pistol. So silly. 6 inches, 1 shot, hits on 3, strength 8, -4, D3 damage. You have to give up your ability to take like another chainsword for that. Like, why? Why would you ever do that? And then a plasma pistol, which once again, you'd have to give up your ability to take another chainsword or something. Why? Like, why? Why? Unless you really want a guy with a pistol. Like, cool. Then, of course, melee weapons. They all have close combat weapons, which are 3 attacks. Hits on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. A couple of them can have chainswords, which are 4 attacks. Hits on 3, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. The Eviscerator, which hopefully you're taking 1 or 2 of these, is sustained hits 1, 3 attacks, hits on 4, strength 7, -2, 2 damage. So some attacks there. And then one model can have either the Power Fist, Power Weapon, or Thunderhammer. The Power Fist is 3 attacks that hits on 3, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. The Power Weapon is 4 attacks that hit on 3s, strength 5, -2, only 1 damage. And then the Thunderhammer is 3 attacks that hit on 4s, strength 8, -1, -2, 2 damage, but has devastating wounds. I personally like the Power Fist because of the hits on 3s. However, the Thunderhammer could be really handy just to get those devastating wounds in, just in case, considering you have Black Rage as a special rule, which allows you to hit better, even if you're hitting on 4s, right? So, Feel No Pain 6-up, Oath of Moment, and then 2 special rules. Black Rage, so you can reroll all melee attacks only, which makes me sad because it used to work for bolters and melee, but now it's only melee. And if you're not within range of a chaplain, 12 inches away, you cannot fall back and your OC is 0. So you have to have chaplains nearby to make any Death Company useful. Visions of Heresy. Once per turn, you can target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem or the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP. Now, this is different than the Captain's ability, right? Because of the fact that you can use a very specific stratagem on this unit. It can be used like for 0 CP is cool. Each time a model with this unit makes a ranged attack, when resolving that stratagem, you can reroll the hit roll, or you can reroll the charge roll, whichever one applies. So not only can you use Overwatch or Heroic Intervention for 0 CP, you can reroll the hit rolls if you're using Overwatch, or you can reroll the charge rolls if you're Heroic Intervening. Interesting, like, little rule in there. Is it enough to make them sort of like more useful than regular intercessors? I don't think so, because regular intercessors give you sticky objectives. Then again, if you're running an army of just Death Company, you have the ability to make your units die and sticky objectives anyway. So, like, you know, but and is Overwatch worth it? Like, you're hitting on 6s. Yes, you get a bunch of bolters. You know what I mean? Like, is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. But, you know, let me know what you think down below. Is like a 6-up Feel No Pain and having to have a chaplain nearby worth it to take those guys? I know. Let me know down below with a comment as well. Of course, if you want to jump into chat, you can, and I'll be commenting, answering all the comments as we go in the video, and if you go back and forth, there should be the timestamps eventually, so you can kind of go through all the timestamps and check out all the different units you're worried about. And if anybody has any suggestions on units as we go through them, we'll also discuss those at the end of every sort of like unit as well. Okay, moving on to the next detachment or next data sheet. But now we take a look at the next Death Company unit, just the Death Company Marines, straight up Death Company Marines, which is sort of like your replacement for the Assault Intercessors, not with jump packs, just regular Assault Intercessors. Each model is equipped with a heavy bolt pistol and an Astartes chainsword. So, of course, the heavy bolt pistol, 18-inch range, one shot hits on 3s, strength 4 -1/1 damage. On a Death Company Marine chassis, which is just a Marine. Moves 6 inches, toughness 4, 3-up save, 2 wounds, 6-up leadership, and 1 objective control. If there's a chaplain nearby. Caveat, there should be an asterisk beside this OC because of the fact that it requires chaplains to be close by. Now, as for options, one model can have a hand flamer, inferno pistol, or plasma pistol. So might as well take an inferno pistol, no matter if you take 5 or 10, because that's how big the unit could be. For every 5 models in the unit, one chainsword can be an eviscerator, which is awesome. I do like that choice. And then one model's chainsword can be replaced with a power fist, power up, and a thunder hammer. So you can actually have 3 special weapons for every 10, or 2 special close combat weapons for every 5. So if you have 2 units of 5, you actually have a second special close combat weapon in there, unlike a regular Assault Intercessor squad that has like 1 special weapon on the sergeant, right? So you get a little bit of extra punch in these units. The weapons are the same as Space Marine stuff. I'm not going to go through those. The Chainsword Eviscerator is all about how many in the unit you can take. Make sure you check the other units that we go through, these specific weapons and stuff as well. They do all have a 6-up Feel No Pain as a core. They have Oath of Moment as rule. Black Rage is the Death Company rule, right? They can reroll hit rolls in melee. If they're not within 12 of the chaplain, they cannot fall back and they go to OC0. So having chaplains nearby, very, very important for any Death Company stuff or things that have this Black Rage special rule. Last but not least, they have a special rule called an Honorable Death in Combat. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, that unit has a Sustained Hits 1 ability. If this unit is below starting strength, has a sustained attack, Sustained 1 if it's below starting strength, or Sustained 2 if it's below half strength. So as soon as you lose a single model, you can make them Sustained 1, and then if they've lost more than half, they get Sustained 2. Considering they reroll all hit rolls, can be pretty handy, right? It is not something that I would say is amazing or incredible, but you know, it adds up, especially when you're rerolling hit rolls and or you have lethal hits and you can just stack a bunch of like bonuses to do damage. It just keeps them killing. Now, a chaplain model from your army that can lead Assault Intercessor squads can also lead Death Company Marines as well. So something to keep in mind there too. Pretty killy, you know. They only have 4 attacks with their chainswords as well. Of course, take a look at the detachments you're running, and that will give them a bunch of different options as well. But let me know what you think down below. Are they worth it? You know what I mean? Like, is that Sustained Hits worth it? Are they just Marines of a different flavor? Which is kind of what I think. Like, I don't think they're unique in any sort of way other than they have a Feel No Pain, you know? And they have different weapon options, aka they can take an Eviscerator, and they can always reroll hit rolls in combat. Doesn't matter if there's an enemy unit on an objective or not, or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely no Crusader squad. Crusader Primaris squads with 5 chainsword attacks each, standing still, which is wild because they're Black Templars. Once again, Black Templars, best chapter in the game. Somebody should put timestamps of every time I talk about Black Templars on a Blood Angel Codex review. I think that would be so funny. Watch every time Skari decides to talk about a different chapter during the Blood Angel Codex review. Get out of here. Full, complete overview. Okay. Of course, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Like this video if you haven't already, and a huge shout out to all of you for watching. I hope you're enjoying the video. Let's move on. Let's take a swig of water here first, I think. Yummy, delicious water. Okay, moving on. The next attachment, the next data sheet, we're going to go over other Death Company Marines with jump packs. Now, these are one of the most popular units in a Blood Angel Codex, is Death Company Marines with jump packs. Why? Because they move really fast and they go punch things, which is what you need a good combination of when you're an army or a unit that does close combat. Getting into combat quickly is one of the most effective things you can do. Now, they are basic Space Marines. So they have all the Space Marine stuff. They are movement 12, they T4, 3 up save with 2 and 6 up leadership and 1 OC with an asterisk because they do have the Black Rage special rule, which if you're a Blood Angel player means that you need chaplains nearby to make them effective at pretty much anything. So, what are their options? They go from 5 to 10, and they have a heavy ball pistol and a chainsword. Very, very similar to the regular Death Company Marines, but they of course have a jump pack. Now, what are their unit choices? For every 5 models in the unit, 1 heavy pistol can be replaced with a plasma pistol. Okay, so you can have 2 plasma pistols in every 10 or 1 in every 5. Okay, for every 5 models in the unit, 1 chainsword can be an eviscerator. Okay, so you have another special close combat weapon in the unit. Neat. 1 chainsword can be replaced with a power fist or a power weapon. So you don't get access to a thunderhammer, but you can have another power fist. It's like an eviscerated power fist. Okay. And then for every 5 models in this unit, 1 model's heavy bolt pistol and Astartes chainsword can be replaced with one of the following. And I will say, this list of 10 options, or whatever it is the most stupid use of ink I have ever seen. So, get rid of both the heavy bolt pistol and chainsword and replace with either hand flamer and chainsword, hand flamer and power fist, hand flamer and power weapon. Okay. Heavy bolt pistol, power fist, heavy bolt pistol, power weapon, heavy inferno pistol, chainsword, inferno pistol, power fist, inferno pistol, power weapon, plasma pistol, chainsword, plasma pistol, power fist, plasma pistol, power weapon. Oh my goodness gracious. Why didn't they just say, you know what, for every 5 models in the unit, you can have 2 plasma pistols, right? Like, or you can have 2 models in the unit, you can have 1 plasma pistol and either a plasma pistol or a hand flamer or a heavy bolt pistol or an inferno pistol. And then instead of going 1 model's chainsword can have a power fist or power weapon, be like 1 model's chainsword can be a power fist. In addition, another one can either be a chainsword, power fist, power weapon. Why? Why in the world is this so complicated? Okay, in essence, you can have 2 special pistols in a unit of 5, right? 4 in a unit of 10. You can have 1 eviscerator in every 5. You can have 2 power fists or 2 power weapons in every 5. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Done. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the special rules. So you have Deep Strike, Fuel and Pain 6+. You have Oath of Moment. Black Rage, which is, of course, you reroll all hit rolls in combat, but you need a chaplain nearby to fall back, and your OC 0, unless there's a chaplain nearby. And Savage Fury, you can reroll charges made for this unit. Now, of course, reroll charges made for this unit is, you know, pretty standard stuff. They reroll hit rolls all the time. Reroll charges is pretty good to get in there, especially when you have advance and charge. If you're going to deep strike and charge, just having a free reroll in your back pocket means you don't need command points for it. Really, really handy. And of course, they can be joined by a chaplain if that chaplain can join into cesses with jump packs. Right? And of course, you can put Lemartes in the unit. You can put a Death Company captain with a jump pack on there, which gives them sustained hits. Right? So there's like, you could have basically the Death Company Marine special rule with jump packs with a captain, right? As an example. So it is very confusing how they laid it all out. It is box locked. However, it is a lot simpler than what this paragraph shows you because it's literally pretty straightforward. But let me know what you think. out of the different Death Company units, which is your favorite so far? Leave a comment down below. And of course, if you're a Blood Angel fan, make sure you share this video with your Blood Angel friends. Hopefully you learned something, or you might be able to add something to it. Give me some suggestions or comments down below. Leave a like to this video if you haven't already. And if you'd like to support the channel, the best way is on Patreon. It is the Denizen community on Patreon that supports what I do, pays for the bills, and allows me to continue what I do. If you'd like to support on Patreon, the link is in the description below. There is a Discord access. We have bonus content, as well as a TTS League, a Crusade League, computer games every week, an awesome community on the Discord, which is open to everybody, by the way. So make sure you check that out if you like being part of an awesome community. Okay. Nurgle Matthew says, LOL, here are the BT timestamps within the BA walkthrough. Hydrate. Yeah, exactly. Every time I take a swig of water, I'm talking about Black Templars being the best chapter in all of the land. Foz says, it's so confusing. Games Workshop screwed up and put a chainsword on the new upgrade sprue instead of the power fist you may need. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, you know, it is what it is. You know, they're like, let's box lock it, but let's not box lock it accurately. Excellent. On to the next data sheet. This is the second to last data sheet. Okay. Let's take a look at the Death Company Dreadnought coming back in its new Primaris form. We have the Death Company Dreadnought, which is a Dreadnought chassis. We have movement 8, toughness 10 with a 2-up save, 12 wounds with leadership 6, and an OC of 4, with, of course, the caveat that you need to have a chaplain nearby for it to have OC at all. It is basically a Brutalis Dreadnought in spirit with more rage, is what I would like to say it is. Now, it's one Death Company Dreadnought that is equipped with a Twin Icarus Heavy Stubber, a Twin Heavy Bolter, the Blood Fists, Bolt Rifles, and Blood Fists. So that is what it is equipped with. You can switch its Twin Heavy Bolter with one Twin Multi-Melter, right? And you can change its Blood Fists and Blood Rifles with Blood Talons. So if you want to get rid of the Blood Rifles and Fists, you can go for Talons instead. And if instead of Heavy Bolters, you can go for Multi-Melter. Awesome. So let's take a look at the Blood Rifles. So it's a twin-linked weapon, 24 inches. It's 4 shots, strength 3 minus, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. So it's bolt rifles, twin-linked. 2 bolt rifles, twin-linked. That's pretty much what it is. A heavy bolter that's twin-linked is a sustained hits 1, twin-linked gun, 36 inches, 3 shots. Hits on 3s, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. Pretty standard heavy bolter stuff. The Twin Icarus Iron Hail Heavy Stubber is not a choice that can be removed. That is what it comes with. And it is a anti-fly 4+, rapid fire 3, twin-linked. So 36 inches is 3 shots, or 18, 6 shots. Hits on 3, strength 4, AP 1 damage. But of course, anti-fly 4+, so good against anything that flies, even though it's only strength 4. Neat, and it's twin-linked, so reroll wounds. And then, of course, if you want to go for the Twin Multi-Melter, that's 18 inches, Melter 2, twin-linked, so 9-inch Melter. 2 shots, hits on 3, strength 9, -4, D6 damage. Nice. I kind of like the Melter, especially on a combat unit. You want to get up nice and close. The Multi-Melter kind of helps with that as well. Okay, so we have in melee, the Blood Fists are what it comes equipped with normally. It is twin-linked, so reroll wound rolls. 6 attacks, hits on 3, strength 12, -2, 3 damage. So, not terrible. 3 damage, AP2, twin-linked, 6 attacks. But if you want to get rid of the bolt rifles and then you get the talons give you 2 profiles, either a strike or a sweep. They are both twin-linked, so they reroll wounds. So with the strike, it's strength 6, hits on 3s, 6 attacks, hits on 3s, strength 12, -2, 3 damage. So the same as the fists with the strike, but then you get the sweep, which are 10 attacks, hits on 3, strength 7, -2, 1 damage. So you can clear a little bit of infantry on there as well, if you want to get rid of the Blood Rifles. However, is the Blood Rifles worth getting rid of? Like, even if you did the sweep, which is 10 attacks, right? Is it worth just shooting first with 4 attacks that are twin-linked? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it is what it is. You have a Deadly Demise D3, and it comes with a 6-up Feel No Pain. So pretty standard, pretty snazzy for a Dreadnought. It does have Oath of Moment as well. Now, as for the Black Rage, it does reroll all hit rolls in combat. So just alone, twin linked in combat means he's rerolling hit rolls, rerolling all wound rolls in combat, making him very efficient in combat. However, if you're not within range of a chaplain, 12 inches away, you cannot fall back and your OC is 0. So, sure, make sure there's chaplains. We've gone over this. Make sure there are chaplains if you are playing Death Company stuff. And the last rule he has is Driven by Fury. So in your opponent's shooting phase, each time an enemy unit has shot, if this model was hit by one or more of those attacks, it can make a Driven by Fury move. To do so, roll a d6 and add 2 to the roll. This model moves a number of inches equal to the result, but must finish as close as possible to the nearest enemy unit. That's not an aircraft. A model cannot make a Driven by Fury move while it's battle shocked or within engagement range of one or more enemy units, and can only make one Driven by Fury move per phase. So you get a d6 plus 2 move when you get shot at, right? Which is pretty cool. If you get hit, you do it. You can only make one move, but you make the move. Boop. And then you could potentially just engage somebody in combat, bounce behind cover if you need to. There's lots of different cool ways that you can kind of use an ability like that. It's what we call a surge move, and it can be very, very powerful. However, you know, it's not the fight a million times thing, which I also found really fun too, right? It does have the damaged 1 to 4 wounds remaining as well, and it does have, you know, Vehicle Walker, Dreadnought, Death Company keyword, so you can use strats on it as per Death Company or whatever it is. But it is not infantry, it is a vehicle. And it is toughness 10, so decent, you know, tank shock as well. Other than that, that's the Death Company Dreadnought. Let me know what you think down below. I personally like the Brutalis Dreadnought a little better because the charge mortal wounds in conjunction with like a tank shock can do a lot of damage. However, no feel, no pain means it's a little less survivable. And I do like the surge move because it is one of those things that can like really catch an opponent off guard if they're trying to screen you and all of a sudden a Death Company Dreadnought surges in because they decide to shoot a pistol at you or something, and you're like, I'm going to surge into you. And it goes up to 8 inches, which means in order to be safe from the surge move, you have to really be over 9 inches away, which increases the screen range, which can be very scary, right? If somebody's within 9 of that Dreadnought, like, you can just run up at them, right? And, like, if you roll that 6, you get in, and all of a sudden you're fighting them, it can be very bad for an opponent. So it is a cool technical piece, but let me know what you think with a comment down below. Foz says in the chat, he says, he was great before and still great. Building mine right now. Nice. I'm glad you're having fun building him. Like, that new kit is really, really cool. I do like the like all the Death Company stuff in the box set that they released or whatever. And last but not least, make sure you post some questions in. I'm going to do a little Q&A at the end of this. So now's your chance to put questions in while I read this detachment, and I'll go over questions, and then I'll wrap up the video. So if you have any specific questions, any comments, anything you'd like me to go over about Blood Angels or thought process or anything at all, make sure you post it right now so I can get to it before we finish the video as I go over the last data sheet of the Blood Angel Codex, which is this one right here. It's an iconic one as well. And one that I feel they got right, in my opinion. I feel like they captured this unit well. So, let's dive in. And last but not least, let's take a look at the Baal Predator, or the Baal Predator, or the BAL Predator. BAAL Predator. Yes, it's a Predator with flamers on it. It is an iconic Blood Angel unit that has been around since the beginning of time, and it just screams Blood Angel. It's fast, maneuverable, shooty. It's cool. It's like a little gunboat, basically, a little gun platform for a very close combat oriented army. Now, it is your basic Predator chassis. So moves 12, toughness 10, 3-up save with 11 wounds with 6-up leadership and a 3 OC. It is one single ball Predator that is equipped with a twin assault cannon and an armored track, and it does get damaged within 1 and 4 wounds remaining. Like every vehicle, has Deadly Demise, D3 only. It is Oath of Moment, and has another special rule we'll get to in a second. Its war gear options. So the twin assault cannon can be replaced with a Baal Flamestorm cannon, so big flamer cannon. This model can be equipped with a Hunter Killer Missile for free, so I would highly recommend you take one all the time. This model can be equipped with a Stormbolter. I highly recommend you take a Stormbolter all the time. And this model can be equipped with one of the following, either 2 heavy bolters or 2 heavy flamers. So the sponsons can be equipped with 2 additional weapons. It's actually funny because it doesn't say this model can be equipped with sponsons that have these 2. It just says 2 heavy bolters, 2 heavy flamers. So I guess you could put them wherever you want, convert them. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So the twin assault cannon is 24 inches, 6 shots, hits on 3, strength 6, AP 1 damage with assault, devastating wounds, and twin linked. So that's your standard weapon. However, that can be replaced for the Baal Flamestorm cannon, which is an 18-inch gun. D6 plus 3 hits, because it is torrent, it ignores cover, and it is assault, the same as the assault cannon. It is strength 6, minus 2, 2 damage. I would go for the Flamestorm cannon every time. Not having to roll to hit. Strength 6 is the same as the assault cannon. It is AP2, 2 damage, ignore cover. Awesome. Just the extra damage and the AP2 is worth its weight in gold, but also the ability to not have to roll to hit. Absolute money. Then we have the Hunter Killer Missile, of course. 1 shot. You can shoot this weapon 1 time. It's 48 inches, hits on 2s, strength 14, minus 3 d6 damage. So, you know, we know how that goes. You either miss or you fail to wound or you whatever. It just happens. It's just nice to have. The Stormbolter is rapid fire 2, 24 inches. So 4 shots within 12. Hits on 3s, strength 4 minus, nothing, 1 damage. And last but not least, you can either have 2 heavy bolters, which are assault on the Baal Predator, sustained 1, 36 inches, 3 shots, hits on 3, strength 5 minus 1, 2 damage, or heavy flamers, 2 of them, which are assault, ignores cover, torrent, 12 inches, d6 hits at strength 5 minus 1, 1 damage. One of the coolest things about the Baal Predator is that its weapons gained assault. Not the Hunter Killer, not the Stormbolter. Why did they not just give it all, just the rule says all its weapons are assault? You know, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But the main cannon, the sponson weapons are assault, which means you can move around, advance it, fly around, cover and terrain, and it mimics what it used to have, which were like supercharged engines, which allowed it to move really fast and still shoot. I really like the fact that this Predator gives you some shooting options within a Blood Angel army. It also gives you great Overwatch options because it's a lot of flamers, so it can be used for sort of like board control or to like prevent your opponent from maneuvering around an area of the battlefield without being punished for it. All in all, I think the Baal Predator is one of the best tanks in the game. I do like the Baal Predator a lot, and I think a Baal Predator is a good addition to a Blood Angel army, not only being iconic, but also because of the strategic value of having, or tactical value, sorry, of having a unit that can move very quickly, doesn't have to roll to hit, can kill infantry, ignores cover, has decent AP, and is a shooting weapon, right? Which is on a, you know, good chassis that can then potentially tank shock and things like that as well. Of course, the armor track's nothing to write home about. 3 attacks, hit on 4, strength 6, AP 0, 1 damage. Cool. Fun times. And last but not least, it has a rule called Overcharged Engines. You can reroll advance rolls made for this model. Ties in very nicely with its ability to move and shoot its guns. The ability to reroll that advance roll means it can fly up the board and get its OC3 onto objectives to deny points better. It can get that extra little inch that you need reliably to poke its head around a corner to flame something behind a building. Like, there's a lot of cool options with the Baal Predator. And there you have it. I really, really like the Baal Predator. Is one of my favorite units. Overall impressions of the Blood Angel Codex. It is in line with what we're seeing with current codexes. You know, it has some detachments, it has some options, it's sort of like streamlining a lot of the unit choices based on what the boxes come with. And I think this is a very new-aged phenomenon. Back when I was starting in like 3rd edition, you know, you could kind of equip your units however you wanted. It was really like it rewarded you for kit bashing and sourcing bits from other kits and stuff like that. But I do understand why, from like a business perspective, it's a lot easier to balance. It's a lot easier to sort of like create sets and be like, this is the set you have. I do feel it's sort of like you know, a lot of old guard that really enjoyed that hobby aspect. You know, it's like that kit bashing and stuff like that is a little different than it used to be, and it's like within the constraints of the unit options. As for special rules and units, you know, time will tell. They have been constantly balancing these rules. Blood Angels remain a very punchy army. Of course, you can use the Blood Angel data sheets in any Space Marine detachment. You don't have to use the detachments in this book. So you can use it in Gladius, you can use it in Vanguard, you can use it in all of these other detachments. And that's, I think, one of the coolest things of this edition of Warhammer is the detachments themselves allow you to pick a style and sort of like fit whatever army you want within the style of the detachment, and then try and make that style work for you, and then pick the units that sort of like work best for you within that detachment to play your style. I think that kind of works out really, really well. So we're going to open the floor for a couple of questions before we finish up today's video. But since no one else posted questions, says Falls, I know, we got like, you know, a couple of people watching, and nobody wanted to post questions. That's fine. You know, everybody's quiet, or you know, everybody's just like listening at work and don't want to get called out for watching an awesome stream at work. That they clearly click the like button on there because there's just as many likes as there are viewers, right? That's just how that works. Towards the end of the video. How could Black Templars, I love it, how could Black Templars possibly be the best Space Marine when their chapter master doesn't even command half of the Imperium like Dante does? Feeding the troll. Well, 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 Mr. Fuzz, let me tell you a little bit about High Marshal Helprecht. He is the most badass chapter master in all of the land. He doesn't answer to anyone. Yeah, Dante has to answer to the Imperium. Nihilus. Helbrick doesn't give a damn. His chapter is without number. It's Legion. And the Inquisition can suck it. Yeah, that's right. I told you. And all of your Blood Angel friends, Fuzz. But other than that, I should probably go through like the Black Templar data sheets and kind of do a little something. I should probably actually go through the Space Marine Codex. Oh my goodness gracious. Imagine I'd be here for like 6 hours over and over and over going through all these data sheets. But a huge shout out to all of you for watching. Thanks all for hanging out with me today. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, make sure you leave a like. Leave a comment. Let me know what you enjoyed about these kind of videos. If you want me to do more of these, share the video, interact with it, signal boost it on social media, or post it in like Blood Angel stuff. Like, share it with folks. I'd love some feedback and comments. I know that this camera is not the best, like it's a little blurry looking at that, but that's twofold. Number one, I don't want people to really be able to use screenshots of the actual books, so it's like by design almost, so that you can get your book, and I just go through the stuff. It is a bit of a podcast. Yeah, on that, 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. Huge shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for helping me hit that milestone. Next step, 40,000 subscribers so I can get 40K. Yeah, I'm a 40K channel with 40K subscribers. Come on, that's a milestone, right? That would also be a milestone. I'm probably going to do a giveaway or something. I'm wrapping my head around it. I really want to make something happen for all of you. Other than that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom none of this is possible. Support the channel by supporting me on Patreon. The link is in the description below, and that is the best way. I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off till next time. Skari out. The Dark Kin. Blood Angel style. Bye, everybody.